Welcome to Inside B2B Influence, the show where we talk to B2B marketing insiders about what's working and what's not inside the world of influencer marketing. I'm your host, Lee Odden, CEO and co-founder of TopRank Marketing. And today I'm speaking to my longtime friend and fellow marketing fitness enthusiast, Justin Levy, who's also director of social and influencer marketing at Demandbase. Welcome, Justin.
Hey, how are you?
It's great to see you.
It's been a little while.
It's been a long time, right? Wow. It's been so long. Well, let's start off. First, I'd like to know, and I'm sure a lot of people would like to know, a little more about Demandbase for those who don't, but especially about what it is, what your role is all about there.
Sure. So the simplified version and what our customers purchase is account-based marketing software. So it helps customers, bigger customers that we have or our clients. It helps them to identify the right accounts to go to at the right time with marketing that's personalized for them, right? So it's not a spray and pray with a piece of content. It's a focused piece of content that hits you at a right time in your buying cycle and that's catered to your role.
Okay, super. And so as director of social and influencer marketing, obviously you work with social and influence, but can you elaborate on that? What role do those things play in the marketing mix for Demandbase?
Sure. So as it sounds, I own social media for the company as well as influencer marketing. So I'm part of a broader content team, and that our content team is responsible for everything, including social, influencer, our blog, our webinars, ebooks, video strategy, everything of that nature, kind of the end-to-end content cycle, even if there's other people within the marketing team that is technically executing it, right? Our demand gen team might execute the webinar, but we might help with the content angle or partner with them on the strategy or how to communicate that out through, say, social in that instance.
Great. So you get to market to marketers, right?
Yes, exactly.
Awesome. Fun. And so where does influence fit in that mix for demand?
Yeah, sure. So with our various, and it comes in different forms depending on what, we're doing at any given time, it's, we engage influencers, whether that's a point in time or it's over kind of the development of a relationship. So, we like to put together and run long tail, long-term relationships and develop those and be able to utilize those for a variety of different things, not just kind of transactional in the sense of what we need from them, but also, help promote them and showcase them. But also when we have certain things happening, right? We announced this transition or evolution in our minds of from account-based marketing to account-based experience. We recently launched our CMO, John Miller's book, The Clear and Complete Guide to Account-Based Experience. So there are moments in time like that where we also want to reach out to our influencers and to a broader set of influencers, right? Not just those people that we've worked with in the past, but to a broader set that we think will be that this will be of interest to them, right? So John's book is a broader book. It's a 260 page book, but it's packed with data and insights and worksheets and information from various firms and analysts and other companies that's appropriate not just for our technical term of an influencer per se, but that's applicable to CMOs at other companies that maybe wouldn't fall under the, what we would consider a social influencer, but they're an influencer because they influence other people within their company and within their market, right? So that book in this instance is really key for them to have.
Got it. So I think We talked about how long it's been since we've seen each other. A lot has changed over the last year and a half plus, for businesses and for people, obviously. But in the context of influencers, what are some, out of all the change that's happened in the last year and a half, what do you think are some opportunities for B2B brands, in terms of working with influencers? In other words, what opportunities have emerged for B2B brands to work with influencers out of this chaos and change that's happened over the last year and a half?
I think that you have to be creative with how you engage with them, right? Like how you build those relationships, and then the way that you bring them together almost to thank them, right? Or to do things to celebrate them. So, previously you might hold, and we're starting to emerge kind of from the pandemic, so start to see some of this again, but you might be at an event, say like Dreamforce, and host a in-person get-together dinner with a small group of people, and have access to maybe certain executives in the company that they can speak to, and that helps build that deeper relationship with the influencers. Now, I think over the past year, you have opportunities to do, say, virtual events with them, right? So you might do whatever your engagement is, but as a way to thank them, for example, you might do some like a mixology happy hour with them, or send them some type of gift that's not just a fruit basket or something of that nature, but it's an experience. So we haven't done some of these before, but I do know some people that will do like a beer happy hour, with a craft beer company, or wine tasting with, and these companies send them everything. Or if it's mixology, they might have to go pick out a couple of their favorite things, or cooking. So I've seen some people do these kind of cooking classes, and it's just a nice way for the brand to thank the influencer again, so it's not all transactional. Mm-hmm. Another thing that I've seen and we're working on is creating customized pages for these folks that we're identifying, right, that we want to work with. And it's these pages that will launch soon will help to promote not only the influencer, but other content that we have, right? So we want to showcase them, but also there's content that's relevant not only to them, but it's stuff that we've produced. Yeah. So it's a shared relationship, right? Yeah.
Well, in terms of influencers, and a lot of people think of influencers in context of B2C because there's so much malarkey and also good examples happening in the consumer products world when it comes to influencers doing their thing on Instagram and Snapchat and TikTok. Yes, there we go. But in the B2B world, obviously it's a little bit different. So how would you describe a good B2B influencer? What is it that you look for?
Yeah. So someone that it's not always just by the follower numbers, right? I mean, you want to look at what their engagement is and with what audience. So it's, because even so, you could have a lot of engagement, but that could, for example, be a B2C audience. They just have this large audience and it so happens to be a B2C audience. But are they in B2B? Are they engaged with, say, Director Plus roles? Are they, what type of other companies that you can see, kind of analyze that they've worked with in the past? So are they kind of in that like playing field, almost that sandbox of other companies that you use or you want to play with or be associated with? And then it takes some creative ideas and campaigns, because like you said, it's not as easy as B2C, where there are some very brands work really hard on that side, but it's also a little easier just as far as the types of products that they can provide or things of that nature. So B2B, there's nothing usually tangible, right? There's nothing, it's coming up with ideas to engage their audience with content that's relevant to their audience. And so it can't just be transactional where it's, hey, go tweet this for me. It's is the content I'm providing you helpful to your audience so that it'll help you with your thought leadership or help, promote you more with your audience.
Yeah, there's a bit more empathy involved because you're creating help. It's great that you say that. I think, of course, I'm biased because of working in the field of influencer marketing for B2B, but the fact that you're focusing in on helping the influencer create value for their audience in a way that also helps your brand. I mean, that's really a everybody wins kind of situation, right? And that's, and we're talking about external influencers, but I also have a question about the value of growing influence within your brand, especially with key opinion leaders, executives, or certain subject matter experts. What's your take on that?
I think that it's critical, right? You do yourself a disservice if you don't, foster your employees. And while this pertains to, identifying or helping to grow influence, within there, that can even be looked at broader employee advocacy, right? You have this group of people. So say at Demandbase, we have, across the board, we have about 550 employees. So within there, you have a lot of people that specialize in various topics. Now, not everyone can be an influencer. You do have to kind of pick and choose based on audiences and what have you. But even when I stepped into the company, John Miller, our CMO, is already an identified thought leader and expert in the space, right? He was one of the people that helped kind of create account-based marketing or really kind of grab with it and run. He's one of the co-founders of Marketo, he was CEO and founder of Engagio, and now he's here. So he is a thought leader. It's not hard. We have another woman on our team who's an RVP. Her name is Katie Ivey, that she speaks and has developed a really strong platform around sales and around women in sales and thought leadership, and this whole platform where she's invited to speak on podcasts and at events and things of that nature. So, and we almost have micro influencers throughout the company too. These people that they have just this very specialized audience, that they'll launch, say a video, they'll create a video and launch it on their social channel, say on LinkedIn. And because they know how to engage that audience, they'll have 5,000, 10,000 plus views on their video. And that's pretty good when it comes to engagement on a personal profile. So we look for those people, when my VP and I stepped into the company, some of those were already identified. We already knew about them, but there's other people that you can look at and start to foster their expertise, and you kind of provide the technology or the information and education on how to do this. And then, you make them look good and, take their expertise and, turn it into something great.
Excellent. So, we did a research study last year, the very first research study into influencer marketing for B2B. And we're just about to start data collection for the 2021 edition. One of the things that we've found, there's an overwhelming growth in confidence in influencer marketing amongst B2B marketers who are practicing it. It's like over 90% said that the influencer marketing they were doing was worth it, was successful. But there's still challenges. And I'm wondering, what advice would you give to someone who's working for a brand? Maybe they're in a new role. Maybe they were promoted into the responsibility, or maybe the responsibility has been added by an upstream executive to the person to say, hey, let's get on that influencer marketing program. What advice would you give to someone who's just thinking about starting a program?
Yeah, I think that you want to obviously develop relationships with some of the people that you know are influencers in the space, right? I mean, they're known influencers in the B2B marketing space. Obviously, you know, there are people that you might have seen keynote at several conferences, or, you know, maybe you read their blog every day and it's helped teach you what you know about, you know, B2B marketing. But you also have to understand that they're receiving an onslaught of requests to, whether to speak or just to be part of influencer campaigns at a number of brands, and they don't want to oversaturate their personal brand, right? So if they attach themselves to all of this, there's going to be a kind of bend and break for them, right? So you have to look at what are those other influencers that you might start to work with. And a lot of times they're very a niche to your space, right? So you want to kind of have these couple circles. You want people that are almost in this broader B2B marketing circle. But say in our case, we also go look at who is within ABM specifically and how can we, you know, engage with them. We're engaged with a lot of them already, so we're fortunate that way. You know, Chan obviously has a lot of deep relationships that we've been able to leverage, but there's kind of those two separate groups that you want to tap. So you might be in a different industry that you need to look at, or maybe you have looked at, that have experts, industry experts within that field that you also want to go look after. And then, like I was saying before, you have this broader group. Again, might be director plus, it might be C-suite, it might be director and below, just depends on kind of where your buying group is. But those are people, they may be your customers, they may be your prospects. It's just going to depend on the company. But that's a whole nother set of influencers, because you want to influence them for a number of other reasons. And if they're customers, you kind of, you know, it helps with retention. If it's prospects, it helps with sales. But they are also hungry for the content and to help share out through their social channels. So every engagement looks different, I think, and what comes out of it for that person, for the influencer on the other side, is going to be different.
Yeah. You know, and for someone that's new to the practice, you know, the idea of understanding these different types and groups of influencers can seem a little maybe overwhelming, or it can seem like a lot. In the research we actually found that those who were not implementing influencer marketing, 60% said that was because they didn't have the skills or the resources to execute, you know? Yeah. So, you know, a lot of folks, of course, they go to outside resources. They'll either buy access to software. A lot of folks will do that, software plus services. Some folks will go to consultants. They'll hire, full-time hire, or part-time people. And then, of course, some folks will go to an agency. And that's the question I have for you, because you do work with an agency, ours. But what I'm wondering, if someone who was thinking about an outside resource, especially an agency that specializes in this, what should they expect? I mean, what should they expect to get, right? Because it doesn't make sense. You know, you can like throw resources or throw money at an agency and hope it's turnkey, but maybe that's not realistic, right? So what should someone expect if they do go to an outside resource like that to help them with an influencer marketing program?
Yeah, I think that there needs to be clear expectations on what's going to come from it. You know, because the agency may have a different view, and you can go to agencies across the board. That can be influencer or social, you know, or probably any other agency, and they have different metrics. They have different ways that they work. They have different ways to create content or things of that nature. And you want that to be very aligned, and for both the brand and for the agency, right? And then I think have clear metrics in place, and both for the agency, you know, the brand and agency relationship, you know, whereas that's transactional a bit, right? This is what we expect. Yep, that's what we want, so on and so forth. But then also everyone needs to measure the influencers, right? Okay, we had X agree, we had X share. Now, what was that reach, engagement? Did it drive traffic? What have you? Because that one's a big thing. And I see that across the board in companies I've been part of. And, when I talk to friends or other people in the industry, that it seems almost like people don't measure traffic back to the website. So it's great. You can have off any program, you can have, social, include social and influencer. You can have reach, impressions, engagements, whatever the kind of social type numbers are. But if you're not driving traffic back to the website, if you don't have any benchmarks for that, like that's one of the ultimate goals. Of course, engagement and reach are the awareness metrics. That's really important. But driving traffic back to the website, to that landing page, is that conversion metric. So you should always have that. And I've experienced in other companies where that's not a metric, or I've talked to people, and this is more on the social side, but I've talked to people and asked the web team or the analytics team, hey, what's the percentage of traffic that, say, social has driven? They're like, it's so low, it doesn't matter. I said, no. Like, I want to know that number, because even if I bring that from 1% to 4%, that's an increase, because the next quarter I want to take it from here to there. So I think that's one of those, you have to have agreement on content expectations, but also on metrics.
Yeah, definitely. So we talked about what you look for in an influencer, and I'm thinking, obviously there are a lot of influencers that we've been around a little while, both of us, and we are both relationship focused individuals. We both invest time in developing and managing authentic relationships with other people that do what we do or work in our field, but also with people in technology broadly, B2B technology. And I'm curious, are there any B2B marketing or B2B technology influencers that you think people watching this today or listening in should follow?
Yeah, she one of them was just on your previous episode, and Ann Hanley's one of the nicest and most knowledgeable people. I know both of us, but been friends with her for I don't even know how long at this point.
Yeah.
On the kind of tech side of the world, if you want to become very confused very fast, but Christopher S. Penn. Yes, Christopher S. Penn is one of the, even when I ask him to dumb stuff down for me, I still don't understand it, but he understands, he explores data and spends hours upon hours a day outside of his client work, trying to figure out how to help marketers and help himself exploit data. So for the benefit. So, and then there's I think we all have a number of other people, Jay Bear, Mark Schaefer. I think these are all, the list goes on, but they're people that if, you're looking for, influence and looking for, best practices, several of those people are all great follows.
Super. Thanks. This has been great, and it went by really fast, but our time's just about up. How can people find out more about you and your work?
Yeah, so obviously the company's pretty easy. It's demandbase.com. You can find me anywhere online at Justin Levy. I try to make my life as easy as possible and that of others. So, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram. Instagram tends to be more personal stuff. So when you want to see I'm on vacation or pictures of my cats or any dumb stuff like that, LinkedIn is where all the, LinkedIn and Twitter is where all the kind of more professional stuff is.
Okay. Well, I'll make sure we include links to all those. So thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you.
So to learn more about the state of B2B influencer marketing, be sure that you check out the report I mentioned earlier that features insights from a survey we did of hundreds of B2B marketers, contributions from B2B marketing experts from brands like Adobe, AT&T, Dell, IBM, LinkedIn, and SAP. Plus there's case studies. You can get that all at download.influencermarketingreport.com. And of course, you won't want to miss our next episode of Inside B2B Influence. So make sure you subscribe wherever you listen to your favorite podcast, or you can visit our podcast page at insideb2binfluence.libsyn.com.